All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Power and Strategy TV. I am your gracious host, Mr. Tony Maceo, coming to you live and direct from Power and Strategy TV. Shout out to everyone that is already in the chat. Just so you guys know, FYI, I just posted new Patreon material over at my Patreon having to do. I had an interview earlier today with the one and only Fat Mac, the almighty Triple XL. He had done a podcast on the present YouTube uh, rape allegation situation. I did my response and I did that interview with him and myself. It is in the Patreon. And for those who are interested in that, you can go to the Patreon. But for you niggas that's signing up to my shit, I'm going to keep it 100. For you niggas that want to sign up to my shit and cancel after you hear my podcast, if I catch you doing that from here on out, I'm going to block you no matter who you are. If you don't want to sign up, don't sign up. If you do want to sign up, you on some nigga shit, you on some niggadry, I'm going to get rid of you. Because I'm still learning this Patreon shit. So if my shit ain't to your liking, go somewhere else. But don't sign up to my shit, get my shit, and then cancel the membership. I'm gonna identify who you are, and I'm gonna get you up out of here. So if you playing these kind of games, you're gonna be gone. In any event, like I said, my new stuff, I gotta find out how to do that, Excalibur. I gotta find out how to do that. I still don't know a lot of this social media shit because this ain't my job. I just come on here every now and then to get shit off my chest. I haven't really turned it into a revenue stream like some other people uh, do, but that's not, I don't know how to do that, but hopefully I'll figure this shit out. So anyway, uh, I'm checking out a tweet. Today's podcast is When Women Want Too Damn Much. And so I thought that I'd have on here the uh, princess of femininity, the Duchess of femininity herself, Miss Nicole Michelle, because I came across a tweet. I came across a tweet on Twitter from Candace Owens, and Candace Owens' Twitter had to do with the fact that Meghan Markle, a D-list, not even a C-list, a damn D-list actress, has gotten Prince, I think it's Harry of the royal family, to come to Los Angeles. So I said, wait a minute. The tweet that Candace Owens said is that she's basically going to suck the life out of this boy. And I thought about it. I went back and I did a little bit of research. I didn't do much because this type of shit doesn't really move me. But I saw that he's Princess Diana and Prince Charles. He's one of their children. He's a prince. And so this woman who has never identified as black, now all of a sudden is black, or black women are claiming her as black. So, I mean, black women claim anybody, but that's another subject. She's married this man. Evidently, she married him. And being a princess or being a duchess just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough that you're a duchess in a foreign country. It's not enough that you've gotten into the royal family, okay? It's not enough that you just hit the hood rat lottery. It's not enough for you to hit the hood rat lottery, all right? But when you go over them folks' country, you got to start shit. Well, Tony, she's been humiliated. She's been called a monkey. Well, look, part of the job of being in the public eye or being in the public spotlight, you're going to subject yourself to public ridicule. That comes with the game. I don't think why people think that they should ascend to these heights of renown and wealth and be beyond people humiliating them or people talking shit about them. I wouldn't say humiliate them, but people insulting them, I should say. People are going to talk shit. You're going to have haters. Well, she broke down and said, well, it's difficult. It's hard. So she got the dude out of England, got him over to the British Columbia part of Vancouver in Canada. Well, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. So now she done got this nigga to come to the United States. Okay. And so Donald Trump has said that he will not pay for this nigga's security. He's not, you on your own, basically. Now, this dude ain't gonna be on his own. His brother Prince William is gonna look out for him. Prince William's gonna look out for him. He ain't on his own. But the question is how far do you go? When I looked at Candace Owens' tweet and she was saying, you know, she's gonna suck, and I'm like, that's true. I'm like, why can't you be satisfied with where you are? Okay. And I got pretty Priscilla Pink, I think that's her name. She said, based off of his speech, I took it as his wife is a target to the public and his family, so he chose to remove. Priscilla Pink, he's in England. It's the royal family. They're going to protect the royal family. Okay, he's on his home turf. MI6 is not going to let anything happen to him in England. So he did not have to come to America to protect his family. This is some shit she's doing. This is some shit she's pulling. And I know what this is. I get what this is because I understand how the Hollywood machine works. Meghan Markle has never been in anything substantial that I'm aware of. If anybody knows of anything that Meghan Markle has been in or acted in, anything substantial, I'm not talking about no television program. I'm not talking about no damn uh, uh, um, unheard of off-brand movie that people, some obscure movie that people don't watch. If anybody's heard of anything Meghan Markle has done substantial, please tell me because I don't know. And he said that's when he moved to Canada. I talk about the move to Canada. That's one thing, but still, all in all, he's in England. There's nothing that can happen to him in England. He's protected in England. There is no danger to the crown in England. He's protected in England. I don't give a fuck about when it was he moved. I'm talking about the principle that he moved. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? So all of that shit is superficial to me. But my point here is why would this dude leave? He's basically, for all intents and purposes, abdicated his throne. The queen has said, look, I ain't got shit to do with this. The queen has said, look, I ain't got nothing to do with it. You fulfill your last duty to the crown on the 31st, which is tomorrow. So basically, with the exception of his brother William, which I'm sure is going to help him out, because they're not going to leave this nigga to be a pauper. They're not going to leave this man to be a pauper. So with the exception of William, this nigga's on his own. And so my question is, one, is this too much to ask? Does this woman want too damn much, number one? And number two, where did this shit come from? I mean, who does this? Who leaves? Who leaves or abdicates the responsibility of being part of a monarchy to come here and be part of the Hollywood circus? Because this is what they're going to do. Hollywood is going to get them over here. It's hot for right now. Hollywood is going to get them over here and they're going to sensationalize and they're going to lionize this whole thing and trivialize. They're going to become fodder for the tabloids. Hollywood is going to make money off of scandalizing and trivializing their marriage. So why would this man abdicate the throne? Why would this man abdicate the throne, come over here to a country that is hostile to any other monarchy except their own? Americans don't like monarchy unless it's an American monarchy. We don't like other people. We don't respect other people's crowns, but we respect our own monarchy. We respect our own privilege. We respect our own elite. So why would this man get this woman, let this woman convince him into coming to a country where people don't respect his title, don't know who he is, don't give a shit about his crown, over here just so she could, because this is what I think it is. I think she's using it just so she can come up and hit a lick in Hollywood just to make her career relevant. Now, on this topic, again, I drug in the Royal Dutch, or the Royal Duchess, I guess, of femininity, the author of an ebook which you guys should read, the one and only Miss Nicole Michelle. And I wanted her intake. What does she think is happening here? Because to me, this is some liberal cuck shit. This is one big case of white guilt. That's what this smells like to me. This smells like one big ass case of white guilt. And anywhere there's white guilt and black women are involved, there's usually black feminism. That's what this smells like to me. This is a down low episode between white guilt and black feminism. That's what this smacks of to me. And see, the thing is that once they hit a lick off these people's marriages, once Hollywood is done exploiting the novelty of the fact that he is a prince and he's here on foreign soil and he's married to this woman, once they've gotten all the mileage that they can get out of the fact that this is the royal couple and they are part of the royal bloodline or the monarchy of the UK, once they've milk this shit for all the mileage that they can get, they're going to throw them away. They're going to cast them away to the winds. So who would do some shit like this? And is this a good look for black women? Because black women, again, y'all claim anybody. Y'all don't have no standards for being black. Everybody is black. This woman has never identified with being black, but yet a bunch of black women are jumping out of the woodworks and claiming this woman. And we have a really bad habit of doing that shit. The only time we want to claim people is in the event of what we think is a win. And that shit is usually never a win. But her ass will become black when those divorce papers come. Her ass will become black in the event that there's child support obligations that come down. Her ass will become black when they throw her out of the royal family in the event of a divorce. That's when she'll be black. Any other time, any other time, she's not black. So anything that has to do with black is what I'm saying is it always has to do with some failure. It always has to do with struggle. It always has to do with some type of tragedy. That's the only time these people that don't identify with black people want to be black people. And that's some crazy shit to me, you know. So Brian Jenkins here says, but they were not in the U.S. They are in the U.S. now, Brian. They're in the U.S. now. Trump is saying he's not going to pay for their security. So they're on their own. Please follow the chat. Please follow the discussion. Please don't come up with these off-brand ass questions. Follow what I'm saying and stay on topic. That shit is really irritating. They're moving to the U.S. now, okay? That's the point is they don't need Hollywood's money. Well, this nigga's been kicked off the royal tit. His brother William is going to be floating him. The queen says she has no more responsibility for him. This nigga is done. He's finished.
If I can, thank you so.
Hold on. With that
Okay.
being said, I'm going to now turn the mic over to the one and only Nicole Michelle. Please come in and impose some sanity to this shit because I'm thoroughly confused.
Thank you so much, Maceo. You are so funny. I appreciate you having me on your show. Listen, I follow Candace Owens, and she did a tweet early this morning. That's why I passed it to you to see what you thought about it. And just for those of you who don't really follow the royal family, fair enough. Let me give you a backdrop of what's really going on. I was a big um, fan and admirer of the late Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, and who was the mother of Prince Harry. She had William and Harry by her then husband, Prince Charles. Okay, so he's now remarried. And this all started upon her death. Her death was very traumatic. The paparazzi were chasing her at high speed through a very tight tunnel in London. I believe it might have been Paris. I'm sorry, Paris. A very tight tunnel, and it caused her to have a fatal car accident, which resulted in her death. And her boys just really had a hard time dealing with that. Harry might have been maybe 13 or 14 at the time. He might have been younger, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but he was not an adult. He was still pretty much a minor. And so that was very traumatic for him. William had a lot of support because he's the next king of England. Okay, I doubt Charles is going to be crowned. We'll see. But definitely William is going to sit on the throne. And so, with that being said, he had a lot of support because he's going to be sitting on the throne. And Harry just kind of, he's the heir, the heir and the spare. He's the spare. So Harry has always been the vivacious one. He, in fact, was the most eligible bachelor at the time he married Meghan Markle. So the backdrop of Meghan Markle, she is the child of a black feminist and a Caucasian man. She grew up in LA with her mother solely, and she has a feminist background. These are not opinions, these are facts. She has claimed that she is a feminist. She subscribes to feminist ideology. This is not opinion, this is facts, okay? And so she has been acting, and currently, when he met her, she was um, currently in a shoot with Suits, which is a British television show. And I believe it's still on, if I'm not mistaken. But that was her claim to fame, was Suits. Hello to everybody in the chat. Okay. So that was her claim to fame. They went on a blind date because, again, he's the most eligible bachelor in the world. He spent a lot of time in Canada, and they met on a blind date, and the rest is history. Now, the way I see it is that, and you guys can comment in the comment section how you think, but she is 2 or 3 years older than him. And just quote me if I'm wrong, but I definitely know she's older than him. I know it's not quite 5 years older, but I do know she's in her late 30s and he is in his mid 30s. All right, because when they married, she was either 35 or 36, and he was in his early 30s. So, all right, so they get married. They basically didn't want any of the traditional English, um, pomp and circumstance that you would normally give his cousins, his brother. They kind of rebelled against anything traditional in England with starting with their wedding. Okay, she was very gracious in her princess duties. She merged into Duchess of Sussex fairly easy. And then the queen accepted it. His father, as far as we know, accepted it. The media didn't, and we'll come back to the media and how they've been treating her, because I think that's important part component to all of this. And she has done several type of little clips and video sound bites where she's expressed her concern about what's being said about her in the media. Now, you can look at it as if she's saying to him, look what happened to your mom. I don't want the same thing to happen to me that happened to your mom. And he's saying, I don't want this to happen to you either. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to protect me and mine. Now, how the abdication came about, I don't know. About him basically walking away from the crown, I don't know. But that was announced at the first of the year. And she was already spending the majority of her time in Canada. All right. She had the baby in Canada. The baby was not in the UK with her. The baby with him, I'm sorry, that they were not a unit in UK. She was spending a great amount of time in Canada already when they announced that they would be moving to Canada and he would be passing on his royal duties. So the queen said up until March 31st, please carry out all your royal engagements. It's already on the books up until March 31st, which is tomorrow or Tuesday, and then they're officially on their own. The crown will not be supporting them. So the world was under the impression that they would be in Canada. So the last couple days, it's been circulating in the news, but since coronavirus has been, pretty much dominant in the news, everybody's been talking about that. Nobody's really been talking about this. They've announced that they've already settled in Los Angeles in a secluded estate in Los Angeles. And Trump recently tweeted, because I follow Trump. I need to keep my eyes on that man. He tweeted that, I've always admired the Queen, the crown, much respect, but I will not be paying for their security. The taxpayers will not be paying for their security. They responded through People magazine that we weren't going to ask the US for security anyway. We're good. So is that was where, me and Maceo agree that, Prince William is probably, footing some of that security bill, because, Trump is basically sending out a dog whistle that, look, if anything happens on American soil, we're not responsible for it. We don't have time for that. We didn't ask for that. So this brings us to the conversation today. Because there's so many moving parts to this story that I want to talk about as quickly as we can. I want to discuss, is this national security? If something happens to, probably not her, but definitely him, if something happens to him or that child, does that put us in a position to where we have to deal with the UK, answer questions? Toronto is feeling kind of jaded right now because Toronto took them in through all of this. And now Toronto Sun published, wow, we took them in when they actually tweeted, we took them in when they were broken, when they were going through changes, and now they moved to LA. So Canada's feeling some type of way. Um, how does the royal family deal with this? Do you think she's basically having him turn against the monarchy, everything traditional? Do you think she's running the marriage? Do you think this is all her idea? Do you think she's influencing him, trying to push those buttons because of Princess Diana, his mother, and using that as a way to manipulate him? Do you think she's injecting her feminist ideology into this man? I've already said I gave them 5 years, and people had my head. Oh, you're wishing back. I've already said I gave them 5 years. They already on their second year in May. So they, I just want to hear from the general public. What do you think? Because me personally, I feel like she's using this situation to basically say, look, I don't care about traditional values. This is about me, 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 me. She's not taking into the account her son will not have access to the crown. Um, I just, I'm concerned. I want to know. I'm concerned because, and this gets a little deep, because black women claim her as a black woman, and I have my issues with that because she's gone on record as saying she's not all black, that she's not just a black woman. She's gone on record as saying this, but we claim her in a lot of circles, and taking this as a win that white men want black women, whatever argument you want to take, whatever, and they're saying, wow, he's going through great lengths to protect her, as if other groups of men don't protect black women. And that black men, particular, because this is like a undercover shot at black men, they don't protect black women. And he's protecting her. He's going through all these great lengths to protect her. I feel like she's undermining her bag, number one, uh, by removing him from his bag. Being on, part of those family photos, being part of, Duchess of Sussex, that title he gave her, living in those palatial estates, that that is what he gave to her. That's what he brought to the table, and she's basically shot that from under him. So now his bag is in jeopardy, and all that protection that he supposedly been moving her to Canada to get, they have reneged on that protection because now they're in Los Angeles, which is a totally different beast, and Maceo can talk about that. LA is totally different from Toronto, where they actually, Canada actually is part of British Columbia. British Canada. They actually respect the crown. US, we don't respect the crown ever since American Revolution. Okay, so them coming over here with titles and things like that. Okay, that's gonna make our party jumping because we have the Duchess of Sussex on our programs, or she's here, the Prince Harry, but really we could care less. So the Canada would have given them that. So basically the protection that they would have gotten in Canada does not translate into US. President Trump has already said he's not spending tax dollars to protect them. And uh LA is a different beast. So pretty much they're like sitting ducks, Maceo, right? And Los Angeles is not like they're in Canada, where they would get extended protection from Canadian government, by extension of the UK. In the US, that's cut off. Trump has already said that that's cut off. They're done. He's not doing anything, and when he says it, he means it. So LA is a different beast. I would be interested to see what the audience has to say about, what do you think? Is she running the show, or is this all for love? And when is enough for her? Because, and I just want to say this one part, and I'm gonna turn it back to you, Basio. It was a win for black women, if we want to say a win, and I put that in quotations, air quotes. It was a win for black women, I guess, if she's in those royal photos. Okay, when she's sitting on the throne, when she's doing the Duchess of Essex appointments and engagements, and she's showing up and she's saying in your face, you got to deal with me, British media. You got to deal with the fact that you have a half melanated, a half African descent individual in the royal monarchy. You have to deal with that. Uh this is not a win. Her coming back to LA. I feel like Beyonce and Sierra have more power. Kim Kardashian has more pull than she does at this point. Without her titles and without all of that money and prestige, uh you know, look, what? I mean, how is she special now? Okay, she's just the average American now. And so I feel like for me, that was the bag. Is sitting on that throne and in your face. Call me what you want. Look, they called Michelle Obama names. Okay, we saw those names. They called her names. It was salt and sugar. They were jealous of her, and they're jealous of Meghan because she snabbed the most eligible bachelor in the world. Okay, so yeah, that was salt and sugar because he probably ran through a lot of them, and he didn't marry them. He married her. And so that all the name calling is just a result of that. Do you think she played on that to do you think she played on that to play on his sympathy, to get what she wanted, to get him on American soil, to get him in a place where she can control the narrative? I don't know. I would like to hear from other people because I certainly do think that.
Well, let me start from the beginning. I want to before I answer those questions, I want to read the actual chat that I have here from Candace Owens. Candace Owens says, I called this over a year ago. And I don't always agree with Candace Owens, but I have to give, unlike the left never likes to give the right their props. The right definitely produces zealots on that side of the fence. But anyway, Candace Owens said, I called this a year ago. I said Meghan Markle's plan all along was to get pregnant and then convince Harry to move to Los Angeles so she could be what she always wanted to be, A-list. He will get her into every party that she was never invited to. He will lose his soul. I don't always agree with Candace Owens. Matter of fact, I rarely agree with Candace Owens, but this is one of these instances where I agree with Candace Owens. So let me start with the political question that you posed earlier. Anytime a country has diplomatic relations with another, you notice how you always see these various countries that have these embassies in other people's countries because they've established diplomatic relations. Well, as a courtesy, as a result of the diplomatic relations, that country extends to the host country or the foreign country not only access to its public officials, its elected officials, its appointed officials. It also extends a degree of security and protection. In British Columbia, in Vancouver, Canada, they still respect the crown. They still respect the monarchy. And they have diplomatic relations with the UK. They have these countries, and the backbone of diplomatic relationships is, of course, economic trade or international trade. So, to facilitate these trade agreements, which are good for both countries, the political realm follows that in that they protect the people that represent the country that they're doing business with. And again, part of this is they extend to them diplomatic immunity for any crimes that they do on foreign soil. That's what the guy was talking about in the movie. You remember the movie Lethal Weapon? Diplomatic immunity. That's what they mean. They extend to them diplomatic immunity, and they extend to them security as well. They extend to them the protection of the host country. So British Columbia has that relationship with the crown. So he would have been extended that security there because they have some respect for the crown. They would have underwritten his security. They would have paid to have him protected, as well as he would have supplemented that protection with people from the UK. I'm sure MI6, which is their intelligence agency, MI6 would have been involved, and all other intelligence agencies and police agencies that have a host, whose countries have a host relationship or have a diplomatic or international trade relationship with the UK. So that would have been picked up by the country that was hosting him. The problem was that he said here he didn't want anything to do with the crown. And the answer that I'm about to give now comes into something that I've said for a long time. I've said for a long time how what happens here is that when a lot of this swirling shit goes on, I always said, look at who's doing the swirling. Now, I've always compared this to the everybody remembers the Jeffersons. Well, maybe some of these young people don't, but my generation, when I came up off of the Jeffersons, and the interracial couple that was on the Jefferson were the Willises, Tom and Helen Willis. So when I say that, I use them as sort of a metaphor to try to explain what I'm saying. Usually, when you find guys like Prince William, and I think Miss Priscilla, pretty Priscilla Pink said that she alluded to this earlier, is that usually what you find with these guys, you find a lot of rebellion. What you have in a lot of and it sucks to say this. I'm sorry to have to say it. And we're not supposed to say it. But the truth is, a lot of this shit is white guilt and rebellion. Because what happens is a lot of times these white people or these white guys are rebelling. These white guys and these white women are rebelling against the traditional values, norms, and culture of their particular group. And so, for one reason or another, they find it very empty. And so, what they do is they make a fetish or they make an obsession out of that which is strange and foreign and antithetical to their culture, because it's a way of them giving the finger to their culture for some perceived injustice or some perceived unfairness. And you see this a lot with black people. You especially see it with black people, and you especially see it around institutions in black culture. Now, in this instance, you got this kid whose mother died under suspicious circumstances, whose mother probably wasn't treated the best. From what I understand, Diana and the Queen didn't get along. So there was already constant strife in that family between the late Princess Diana and the Queen. They, from what I understand, they already had beef.
She was rebelling. She actually was rebelling when she was in France with Prince Dodi. She was actually legally divorced from Prince Charles and was seen in, I apologize, she was seen in France with Dodi. That's why the paparazzi was there. And so Harry felt like the crown didn't protect her enough, but when you look at the situation, and I love Diana, but she was rebelling against the crown. They felt like, well, we don't have to protect her. She's doing her thing. She's divorced. She's dating another head of state from another country, because my understanding, Dodi was a prince in some Arab country. So they felt like, okay, well, she's doing her thing, and they kind of been, indifferent towards her once they realized she was dating Dodie. So there's this race component to it. Think about this, you all. Dodie was non-white, and he was of Arab descent, and here she is rebelling and dating Dodie, and they did not They kind of indifferent. The crown was indifferent to her after they realized she was dating Dodie. So here we are some years later, and her son is rebelling. Do you think there's a correlation, Maceo?
I definitely think there's a correlation. I think it. I would go so far as not just to say it's a correlation. I would go so far as to say that this is one of those instances where correlation is causation, because that's a saying in statistics, is that correlation is not necessarily causation. In this instance, I would be willing to say it is causation. I would be willing to say this boy watched how his mama was treated. He didn't like how his mama was treated. And so now, as a result of unresolved issues around the death of his mother and the anger at the crown and his anger at the crown, this boy is rebelling. There's no question. I really and sincerely believe that. And this is what plays out when I said earlier that a lot of these dudes get with black women. Sometimes it's a fetish, and a lot of times that they're rebelling. I wasn't saying that in some instances, some men of other colors are not going to find black women attractive. There's some, but they're not going to want to marry them. I wasn't saying that. That wasn't a curse or a doom to them. I was speaking, it wasn't a curse or the finger of doom to them. I was pointing out the different psychosexual undercurrents that underwrite these relationships. All the shit that people like Crystal and Karazin don't talk about. All the shit that people like Kendall St. James don't talk about. They don't talk about that shit. They just paint these fairy tale relationships. And nobody ever explains all of this shit that's undergirding these relationships. So when you talk about Prince, I think Prince Harry. When you talk about Prince Harry, this definitely has some semblance, some degrees, or some undercurrent of rebellion against traditional culture. This definitely has some rebellion against, what he terms, or what he terms as uh, heinous, what he terms as distasteful about his own culture. This is open rebellion. This is a form of him giving a finger to the crown, giving a finger to the family. And this type of thing forms the backbones of a lot of these interracial relationships. So this creates a situation to where these guys will do things that are totally adverse to tradition, totally adverse to their protection, totally adverse to their wealth, health, and their development, just because they're angry. And when you get somebody like this that will come along that has an agenda, because I believe this woman got an agenda, just like Candace Owen says. When you get somebody like this that has an agenda, this guy is a ready tool to be used to get across a feminist idea or a feminist objective, or the objective of a feminist, not feminine, of a feminist woman. That's what this is. White cuckoldry and white guilt is the accomplice of black feminism. So there's no question that this guy lends himself to this type of fuckery. So what I want to do, I'm gonna get your response, but I want to address this because, again, I hate when people do this. Black men fetish black women too, especially light skinned. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. That's another show. What you're saying may be correct, but don't come in here with that black men do it too today. We're not talking about that today. So if you can't stay on topic, get on up out of here, because we're not doing that today. Go somewhere else with that shit.
This
Okay,
actually has nothing to do with black men.
this
And
has
let
nothing
me
to do
let
with
me
black
just get
men.
that out the way. And and I fuss at brothers. Tony, I fuss at brothers, but we're not doing that. This has absolutely nothing to do with black men. Okay? So no hate, no, I'm not fussing at anybody, but let's not interject something that has nothing to do with black men, okay? Because we have a tendency to make everything the big black man's fault, and and at times it is some of their fault, but right now this has absolutely nothing to do with black men. There absolutely nothing to do with black men. Okay,
Yeah, so I'm fussing. Get on out of here with that shit. Get on out of here with that shit. I don't tolerate shit from them red pill niggas, and I don't tolerate that shit from these hardcore black feminists. So if you're a hardcore black feminist, please escort yourself to the gates of this goddamn channel and keep walking. Keep walking until the sun sets. Keep walking until your feet is wet. Get the fuck on. I do not want to hear that rhetoric in here. This is an anti-black feminist space. This is an anti-red pill space. I'm not interested in that rhetoric. Get that shit out of here. All right. So I got something else here. Hold on. Let me go through some of these other comments. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Again, Michael Elam, do not respond to that shit. We're not doing that here. I'm not sidetracking my conversations. Make sure, because I like to watch the chat and see what's going on here. Okay, get out of here with the precisely big brother in life. Get out of here with that colorism bullshit. Somebody in here said, oh, I remember what it was. Somebody in here says, and you know, niggas always come with these. That's what kills me. The shit that's really a conspiracy, they'll say it's impossible. But the shit that's ignorant, the most ignorant shit proposed, that's the shit they run with. So now they come in here talking about what was this comment at? I wanna highlight it here. Oh, Renaissance Man says that you do realize that Meghan and Harry are related. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? What does that have to do with anything?
That I don't know. You know
What
how
does
they
that
do
have to
these
do with the fucking
genealogical.
oh God? Niggas make my brain hurt, man. Oh shit. Okay. Anyway, anyway, the thing is, as I was saying, I definitely believe that there's an agenda here. And from what I understand, from what I've been told, her mother, I think, was a feminist. Her mother was a black feminist. Is that right?
That's my understanding. And here, a lot of people, I have a poll working on my community tab, and I asked them, what's your opinion? And of course, the majority of them said we don't have an opinion on this one way or the other. And I find that intriguing to me because when she got married, everybody was excited. When I make posts on Facebook, everybody gets triggered. I won't say everybody, but a lot of women get triggered. They come from all over social media to troll me when I discuss Meghan Markle. That's why I didn't want to do it on my channel because it's very polarizing and triggering. Black women who talk about there are certain black women you can't discuss. That's Oprah Winfrey. That is and now her crown is kind of falling off a little bit, but you can't discuss Oprah. You can't discuss Michelle Obama. You can't talk about Sierra in negative ways. You can't point out their areas of opportunity and when they're doing wrong. And Meghan Markle is one of those women. Where you say something about Meghan Markle, and now all of a sudden you're getting trolled by feminists, you're getting trolled by all types of women because they get triggered. So I find it rather fascinating that the fact that they're moving to LA, a lot of people don't have an opinion, and I don't know if they don't know the backstory to what this actually means, that they're on American soil without protection from the American government. So this introduces a different spin on it, as well as, okay, so now is she gonna tell him, look, I'm going to work, I'm getting back into movies? Let's keep in mind, people, she's not Grace Kelly, who was an Academy Award winner, who gave up her Academy Award winning career to marry Prince Renier. This is not Rita Hayworth, who gave up her stellar pinup girl career and Hollywood career to go marry a head of state. This is Meghan Markle, who was picked up out of obscurity and put in the monarchy. So let's not act like she had this stellar career that she's missing out on by marrying this man. So now she's gotten him all the way to LA, to her home, and for what? At what, I guess the title of the show is, at what point is it enough? What exactly does she want from this man? How far does he have to go to prove to her that he loves her? I'm just I don't, to me, a win was when she was in those photos. That was a win. When she's in those royal photos, Where, that is a win. This really isn't a win. Now she's just the average chick in LA. To me, so when black women say they don't have an opinion, okay, one, I have to ask, do you know the backdrop? And two, do you understand when this goes bad? Okay, when this goes bad, listen, ladies, when this goes bad, do you understand black women's stock will plummet? Do you understand that? Because see, the argument was, oh, black women are desired. Look at Meghan Markle, right? So when this goes bad, which this is on projection to go bad, all the signs are there. As I predicted when they hooked up, I said, okay, it's going that direction. So when this plummets, and then now she'll be, I'm a black woman and this was prejudice and this is that. Will she claim to be black then when it becomes a struggle relationship, when it doesn't go right? Now she's a black woman so we can all trauma bond. Everything's good. I'm identifying with my white side as long as I have titles and as long as I'm being treated like royalty. But when I start to struggle, when I start to see life with this man from regular lens, am I now a black woman? And how does that make black women look? You took a man from his family, hundreds of years of Mountbatten, that's his actual name, Mountbatten, tradition, and moved him to Los Angeles. Not even Canada. That was bad enough. Now you moved him to Los freaking Angeles. And I love LA, but my God, come on. From the monarchy, and like what's enough? I don't know. To me, this is what men are going to see. And I already hear the arguments now. This is going to be right. They're going to do shows about this for a good couple of weeks. This will be good content. Look how black women do. Look how they tear up families. Look how they tear up. They can't even keep a relationship with a white man going. Look how they tore up his family. Look how controlling she is. See? So yeah, I think black women should care a little bit, because if we're claiming her when she gets married, then we got to claim her all the way through. That's why I said I don't claim her. That's why I said from day one, if she's not claiming she a sister, then I'm definitely not I'm not claiming her. If they don't come out and say, especially mixed people, and I'm sorry, this might be triggering for some, but if they don't say, I am a black man, I am a black woman, then I am not going to take up their cause like we brother and sister. Now, if you brother and sister, then you my brother and you my sister. I'm not good. It's not going to be, I'm claiming you one way. You got to claim me too, baby. You got to claim us. We're not taking up your battles if you don't claim us. And I think a lot of people claimed her. So, but now when she starts to do stuff that's kind of questionable and suspect, now we don't have an opinion. Now we didn't see that. Nobody saw the reports. I mean, this is new news, so I get it. But after a while, where's the outrage? Is somebody saying, "Yo, Megan, what's going on? What? This look weird. This look suspect." Because the men are gonna say something, and best believe if this doesn't work out right, because in her mind she thinks she's Wallace Simpson. Okay, if y'all know y'all history, if this does not work out, this don't look good for black women. I'm sorry. In terms of the interracial dating thing, like we wanted to think, like we wanted to look, because that was a lot of swirlers argument was that, oh, all these white men want us. Look, a prince married a half black chick. Oh, we're in there. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, first thing I wanted to do, I did want to answer the question with respect to the national security implications. Now, let's keep it 100. When Trump says he's not going to pay for this man's support, meaning this man is not going to have the protection of the CIA. He's not going to have FBI protection. He's not going to have the Secret Service. He's not going to be able to use the NSA. He's not going to be able to use the police intelligence agencies. But the man is not going to become uh, what is his name? Akeem. He's not gonna turn into an Akeem from coming to America. The motherfucker ain't gonna go stay in a rat infested hovel and not be recognized. That's not gonna happen. He's still gonna be Prince Harry. He'll have some degree of diplomatic relations, but it's gonna be limited. Okay. If this motherfucker calls 911, the police are gonna answer, and they are gonna come a little quicker than they would ordinarily come in any other instance. Okay, so he's not his recognition is not going to be totally eliminated. His status is not going to be totally eliminated. What Donald Trump is saying is that we're not going to go the extra mile to protect this dude. That's what Donald Trump is saying. We're not going to give him presidential protection. That's what Donald Trump is saying. But my point is that anything less anything less than presidential protection is sort of inviting somebody to take a shot at this dude. Anything less than presidential protection puts his life in danger. Now they said, of course, that he has private security. Private security is going to protect this guy. He has a privately funded security agency. And I think that's probably his brother and the little bit of money he's getting by his association with the crown or whatever. So I do think that he'll have a degree of protection, but it's not the protection that he'll need in terms of that type of Kennedy protection, that type of presidential protection, that type of protection for royalty or for the crown. It's a limited form of protection. Now, what does this do if something happens to that boy on these shores? That is a national security risk. If something were to happen, damn her, because I don't think the UK probably cares
The
that
U.S.
much
is
for.
yeah, the U.S. is not going to war over Meghan
Yeah, the
Markle.
US is not going to war over Meghan Markle. And the UK is not going to war over Meghan Markle. But if something happens
To
to
him or
William,
that baby.
yeah, if something happens to Harry or that baby, I said William, but I meant Harry. If something happens to Harry, if something happens to Harry or that baby, what you've done now, you've invited acts of terrorism against United States citizens. You've invited another terrorist attack against the American public. You've invited terrorism from the UK against us if something happens to him. So him being here compromised without the protection of the United States, with the president having announced that he is not going the extra mile to protect this man, that opens the United States up to limitless opportunities of limitless potential for terrorist attacks by people from the UK. That is a national security nightmare. Not a national security risk. That is a national security nightmare. That would be a foreign relations catastrophe if something were to happen to that guy on this soil. So that's not a good look. I'm sure he will have his private security, but my thing is, it's not presidential protection. It's not public official protection. It's not politician protection. It's not secret service protection. It's not CIA protection. It's not NSA protection. It's not FBI protection. It's not the protection that this guy needs to sleep with a relatively easy mind against potential assassination attempts.
I
That's
mean,
my point.
this is the immediate family of the queen, y'all. This isn't just some regular random duke. This is the immediate family of a sitting queen. I mean, so yeah, it's going to be some questions answered, and Trump is saying, "Look, I got a lot on my plate. I ain't got time for this." The Donald said, "Look, I ain't got time for all that. Y'all on your own." Basically, what he's saying is, Maceo, what he's saying is, look, I'm not financing your simpery. Look, hey, if you want to be a wife, that's on your dime, not on the American taxpayers. What Trump is saying.
Exactly. That's what I couldn't have put it any better myself. He is refusing to subsidize simpery. He's refusing to subsidize cuckoldry. He's refusing to subsidize white guilt. That's what he's saying. I'm not subsidizing your rebellion. I'm not subsidizing your white guilt. I'm not subsidizing your simpery because you can't put your foot down and agree to follow the traditions of your own country, of your own lineage. I'm not going to co sign that. Donald Trump is not that kind of guy. Say what you want to say about him, right or wrong. Donald Trump is an all American boy. Talk
Uh,
all the shit you want to talk about him being misogynistic. Trump is an all American boy. He's an all American rich white man, and that they don't go for the type of shit that Harry's doing. So if you're gonna be a cup, if you're gonna be an adherent of simpery, if you're going to be an adherent to feminist, being led around by the nose by feminist ideology and feminist rhetoric and all this other shit, if your wife's desire to be an A-list actor, good, then do what you do. You get her to the Oscars, even though she's 20 years too late. She's too old to be talking about getting anything in Hollywood as a woman. If they ain't hiring Sandra Bullock, they damn sure ain't finna hire her. If Sandra Bullock ain't getting no action like that, she damn sure ain't finna get no action like that. Especially with a declassed monarch, with a monarch that has abdicated his throne. What they are, they're fodder, they're cannon fodder for the tabloids. This is some TMZ shit. This is some VH1 shit. This is some reality show shit. After they get all of the social and financial capital they can get out of that shit, she's done. So you
uh,
extended, you put this man's life at risk. You put the safety and the life of your child at risk just so you can come here and be a part of the Hollywood in the Hollywood film industry, the Hollywood machine. You put them at risk just so you can come and do this. That's a bit too much. That's
she
a bit too
she
much for me.
she cut his bag right up under him. What he brought to the table was status and prestige, and she took that from him. The very thing that all women dream about as little girls as being a princess. Doug said, "I predict once Elizabeth dies, Harry will be reinstated." Do you think she's actually going to allow Harry to go back over there? She's orchestrated that he leave the crown. Do you think she's going to let him go back over there? See, um, I think I think she's manipulating this situation based on his soft emotions towards how he lost his mother, and she's playing on that. And here we are in the United States. The very thing that women say we want is provision and protection. Okay, so now she's cut his bag, probably less than a third of what he would have gotten sitting as the Duke of what was he? Prince certain stipend.
Sussex.
Sussex. She's the Duchess of Sussex. He's the Duke. Okay. So now they probably get a third of that, if at all. Maybe William, his big brother, is subsidizing him a little bit. So, okay. So now his bag is cut in a third. She's no longer in royal photos. She's no longer a history maker. Nobody's talking about her or some royalty. She doesn't get any of that prestige because that's played out. Okay, so now the other part that we always ask for is protection. Well, the protection was the crown. She was never going to be by herself. It's not like she's Diana in some obscure tunnel in France with some Arab dignitary. No, she is a sitting princess, Duchess of Sussex, who is married to the prince, who is the brother of a sitting future king of England. And so, no, she's going to have added security. Now she's a mother. So now they're going to give her extra security for that baby as well. So it's not the same thing as Diana, although people like to create in their minds that this is the same scenario as that. Oh, I gotta move her because the same thing gonna happen to her that happened to his mom. Maybe he had some fear, but I think she kind of magnified that to get her way. So now she's taking the two things that a man is supposed to bring to his woman is provision and protection. All of that's been cut. So now he's living at risk every day. When you have the president of the United States saying you on your own, buddy, If President Trump had not said anything, we would assume there is some type of detail uh, that is on him that's protecting him. But when President Trump went out of his way to say, I'm not lifting a finger, I'm not going above and beyond for the situation, you on your own, he's basically saying you're on your own. And so now the two things that women want is protection and security. She's taken that from him. In other words, she's emasculated him. And I know people don't want to take credit for that. People don't want to admit that. But yes, thank you, Miss V. She secured one of the biggest bags ever. And now I honestly have to say I love seeing her in royal photos. Whether I was her fan or not, it was a joy to see her in royal photos. Now what do we get? So I mean, what? You're just a regular chick now. So to me, I just felt like she emasculated him. You like to say other words, Maceo, so I'll let you say that. Other ways of saying emasculation, but to me, it's just simple emasculation. Feminist undertone is coming to the. This is what I talk about a lot at nauseum on my channel. Is that when you have a woman who has feminist ideology. She was raised by feminists. That stuff is in her blood. It's going to come out. And what she's done is she did the whole bait and switch, which is what a lot of men are afraid of. And she did the bait and switch, Maceo. I'm feminine. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to be your wife, to be your woman. And then as soon as they get married, boom, here she comes. All that feminist ideology seeped up to and here we are, living in LA, tucked away with no security, no money, no titles. Their title and name only. No duty, no pull, no nothing. So, what do you think?
Well, I definitely think that, this is, again, this was unnecessary. This was totally unnecessary. And to be sure, the Queen even said that after tomorrow, he's cut off. The Queen made it clear he's cut off. And don't sleep on that old broad. See, some people are saying, well, wait, when she dies, he can come. No, no. That power is going to vest in his brother, William. William is the man. William is the one that's paying. Don't get it twisted. William is the one that is paying for his survival right now.
I believe he is
William is the
subsidizing him
one who
too.
is
Yeah.
front. See, because that's what a lot of these radical feminists. You got a lot of these radical feminists. They have to deball you. They have to deball you. And so what she's done, she's chopped off his scrotum and placed it in her purse. She's chopped off his nutsack and she's carrying that shit around with him, carrying that shit around with her, excuse me, in her purse. So the only lifeline he has to anything right now, the only lifeline he has to anything right now is uh, is William. William is the muscle behind his hustle right now. William is the dude that is making it possible for him to move around. Plus whatever little scratch he's getting by being a member of the royal family. But William, see, it's not the Queen. The Queen speaks for the country to a certain extent, but I'm talking about all the other shit. It's William that's the one that's going to send that security detail. It's William that's going to call the United States Embassy and say, well, look, I know what your president said, but look, I get it, but you guys need to see what you can see when it comes to my brother. I know you can't countervail the orders of your CEO, your chief executive officer of the United States, but you guys probably need to keep an eye on my brother. We will take care of him, but if you guys hear of anything, you just need to let us know. So I think that he'll move around. I think that he'll be able to move around because of William, because of the clout of his brother. But that was a bad move because now, not only as you said, as you pointed out so well, you've compromised the security of him as the prince. You've compromised the security of the child, but you've also, in a lot of ways, compromised the security of the crown because you have to think, see, people on the street that are predators, they constantly think in the line of, they constantly think of a come up. They're constantly thinking in the line of a come up. So if they see how easy it is, if they see how easy it is to knock off or to be able to touch a member of the monarchy, a member of the crown, that weakens any prestige that the crown has, even in its own home country. So by his weakness here in the United States, by his vulnerability in the United States, that casts a light of vulnerability on the crown in the UK. He didn't just weaken his own family, he weakened the lineage, he weakened the crown, a lineage that goes back at least 500 years.
Feminists, that's the thing, y'all. Feminists don't care nothing about patriarchy. They don't care nothing about family traditions. When you hear a feminist talk and you start talking family, this is why I always state at the beginning of my shows, I am pro family, I'm pro having our babies, I'm pro military, I'm pro tradition. So any feminist, they gonna start convulsion. Oh God, she talking about tradition. Oh, let me get out of here. And basically, what you have with Meg, I'm glad LAR here because I would love to hear his side of it, his thoughts. When you have a feminist who's in this type of setup, this family tradition, you got Prince Philip, you got Queen Elizabeth, then you got Charles and Camilla, and this is all about family. Feminists are, they rebel against anything traditional. So now they're in an unconventional spot over here in LA. This LA is all about liberalism. LA is all about free spirit and rebellion and do what you want. She's on, he's on, basically at her beck. I won't say beck and call, but at her mercy. He's giving up his power, and I don't know if he realizes how much he's given up. How much is enough, ladies? How much does it take to make us happy? Wasn't being the Duchess of Sussex enough? What does this man have to do to make this woman happy? Do you think she had this planned all along, Maceo, to get him on American soil?
I definitely think this was a plan. Again, like I said, I agree with Candace Owens. I think this was her plan out the door. Her plan up front was to get this Negro out of his country and get him back on foreign soil where she can take advantage of the celebrity that comes from him being a member of the royal family. I definitely think this was a work. I even think her mama was involved in it. Uh, I think that this is just something that was very calculated. I think this was very calculated, and I don't think that this is happenstance. I don't think it's coincidence. I think it's by design. And so, not understanding, because a lot of times, let's be honest, when you're young, you don't understand the future implications of a lot of shit you do. When you're young, you don't understand the ramifications of a lot of shit that people in power have to go through. You're not mature enough to understand responsibility when you're young. And he's in his 30s, and I still think to a certain extent he doesn't understand the political ramifications. And I don't even think he cares. Because, again, I think this is just something he's doing because he's rebelling. I think he's still angry. He's seeking some type of closure in what happened to his mother. And this woman provides the perfect opportunity for him to rebel. LAR just
LAR.
said something that was I got to give him this comment. He always comes up with some good shit. LAR says, hold on here, let me. Okay, he says she is tiptoeing on being the 2020 Robin Givens. You damn right. That's exactly what this is. She is tiptoeing because on a historical note, Robin Givens, I did say Robin Givens, right? Okay, Robin Givens was also controlled by her mama. Her mama ran her and told her what to do. So clearly there's some similarities in this situation. So I think he's right on point.
I want to make
But
2 points. Well, let me jump in here real quick if you allow me. LAR made a good point. He likes partying in LA. And somebody else made a point. Shout out to Timothy. He said Harry is for the taking now. If he's in LA out there partying and stuff like that, who's to say he ain't gonna get tired of her? She is older. She pushing 40. I'm just being real. I'm just looking at this like I would look at any other regular couple. Now you in LA. Competition is real thick in LA. You got to Harry, he's still a hypergamous for a lot of women, and now he just chilling in L.A. Now anybody can get a Harry. I mean, she really had it secure being where she was. He still could get a side piece, but it would have been a little bit more difficult. Now he's in LA. I mean, he's just a regular dude. Uh, things are just, now what? You
Well,
know,
there's also the thing that, look, he's here around more women that are in open rebellion to his culture. She's lost the very thing that made her special. See, you are special, like you said, if you're over on British soil. You're special over there, over here in America. He can walk out his front door and find any number of bitches just like that. Well, some people gonna say, well, they don't have her grace and her poise. Harry's not gonna go to the hood looking for bitches. He can go through Hollywood. Hell, he could. Well, she's married. I was gonna say he could probably pick up Angela Bassett, but Angela Bassett is married. She don't strike me as that kind of person. But he could probably go through hell. He could probably pick up Nia Long and with the cherry thong with the lights on. You see, he could probably pick up any D-list, C-list, B-list, or A-list actress in Hollywood if it came down to an issue of infidelity. If it came down to him just wanting to find another woman that's different, you just got rid of, or you just eradicated or destroyed or stepped on the very thing that made you different.
more importantly, this is not just for black women, our image, but American women, period, because American women have always married into British aristocracy, by the way. We've saved British economy back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was American money, American heiresses that married British aristocracy and saved some of those estates over there in Britain, if you know your history. So now she's put a taint on that, because if this does not work out, which I don't, the cards are not in their favor at this point. Now this, they're always going to revert back to not Wallace Simpson and Edward. What that actually they did marry till death do them part, her old racist self. But they're not going to revert back to those two. They're going to revert back to Harry and Meghan and how she, conned him out of. They're not going to tell the whole story. They're going to say she conned him out of leaving Britain and brought him over to the U.S. soil, and this is what happened, and this is what happened. So we better hope this works out, because the future of Americans who want to marry into British aristocracy or marry into European aristocracy, or all of these people having these dreams of being princesses and whatnot, they're always going to revert back to whatever happens to Harry and Meghan. So this is not just about black women's collective image, because I think it's going to affect that too, but it's also about American heiresses. She wasn't even American heiresses. She was raised by a single black mother. But a lot of these other wealthy American heiresses who come from money are gonna be pissed off, because she's gonna make it hard for them. Uh, because they already, oh, he's dating an American. It already has this stigma. Um, Even though American heiresses have bailed out European states a lot, but this is going to make it hard for them to merge into European aristocracy from this point on. This has so many moving parts to it. I mean, this is just I don't and the thing about feminists is that I don't think they care about who they hurt. It's all about, I was hurt. I need to be fixed. I want what I want. I don't care about other people's feelings. I don't care about society. I don't care about family. I don't even care about my kids. It's all about me, 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 me. And that's so detrimental to society, the kids, the men. Forget about the men. They're not entity with feminists. I just think it's so many moving parts of this that I really don't think people are thinking about. And I definitely know she's not thinking about it. I think her mom is really behind this. I mean, her mom is sitting up there at a royal wedding with a nose ring in her nose. Man, come on. I knew that was gonna be a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's sign that signals rebellion. If Tariq talked about this years ago on Mac lessons. When you see a woman with piercings and tattoos, that's a sign of rebellion. And her mama sitting up there at a royal wedding with a nose ring. This is going to be a problem.
Well, well, my man, Dollar Will tipped. He said, "Is he saying Harry will be tricking if he steps out? Yes, he's gonna be tricking. Exactly. That's exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna be tricking. He's gonna be power tricking if he steps out." So there was something else you said earlier that you said that we have a history of supporting the British Crown. Did we have any other actors that married British royalty, or anybody here on American soil that you can think of that
Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly was an Academy Award winning. She actually came from money. The Kellys were not poor. Mr. Kelly was an Olympian himself, successful businesses in the Philly area. There was Rita Hayworth, who was a successful pinup girl from World War I. World War Two. She was a successful pinup girl and had successful movies under her belt when she married. I forgot his name. She married European aristocracy. Then there's Jackie O, who, of course, she was married to the slain President Kennedy, and she married Aristotle Onassis, who had been chasing her for eons. So she amassed some of his fortune before she left him. And it's a few others. I want to say Consuela Consuela Astor. Don't quote me. A Consuela Astor married into British aristocracy, and there's a couple of others at the turn of the 19th century, married British aristocracy and bailed them out because the British economy was hurting around late 1800s, early 1800s. So what the so it was kind of it worked out because their economy was suffering, and then the women over here, a lot of them could not um get into high society the way they wanted to, because we had the Vanderbilts and the Roosevelts, and we had the Rockefellers and the Morgans, the Post. These are old money families. I talk about that a lot on my channel, and so a lot of these women came from these affluent families, but weren't able to get in those social circles. So what they would do is they said, okay, we'll skip American society and then we'll go over. And now they were already upper class, but they said we'll skip American upper classes. They won't let us in, and we'll marry British aristocracy, and we'll get a title over there. We'll be the Duchess of this, or we'll be the consort of this, or we'll be the we'll be landowners in England, and we'll marry a duke or a count or a viscount or something like that. So a lot of women took their money called dowries and they married British men and saved the British economy. Some of those mansions over there today were saved by American money. So this is been done for years. Now we get the first mixed woman in there, and she's on course to mess all of that up because a lot of American women look to marry dukes and counts. They still there's a tradition that they still like to go over there and marry. And so that could be, they go look at that like, why do we want to marry American women? This is what they doing. Remember, y'all, she is married to the brother of the next sitting king. That's huge. This is immediate family of the next sitting king of England, not a cousin, not a third cousin, not an uncle, not a his actual brother. So this is kind of a big deal, and I don't think that she understands what's going on. Her this so many moving parts.
I also think, see, my problem is that if this shit goes sideways, I shouldn't say if, I should say when, because I don't think this is a good idea. I think this is a terrible idea. I think that what will happen is you'll have black women saying they're not going to assess any responsibility to her at all. It's going to be him. All this shit they saying, well, he really loved her because he abdicated his throne. You know that coming to America shit. I abdicate my throne. I abdicate my right to the throne of Zamunda. I renounce my throne. I am no longer the throne of Zamunda. I am no longer the king of Zamunda. That type of shit. From this day forward, I renounce my throne to the crown. I renounce I renounce my claim to the crown. I am no longer the prince of Zamunda. That type shit. So I think that while they're being all celebratory about how far he's willing to go for her, I think while they're celebrating and doing all this shit, and now they're lauding his sacrifices, but when the relationship goes to the side, he gonna be just like another nigga. He ain't shit.
Wait, wait, wait,
They gonna
wait.
turn around.
No.
Oh, he ain't shit. I knew he wasn't shit. He ain't because that's what they do. See, when you go, far above and beyond, when you do a lot of slick shit for them, when you do a whole lot of slick shit for them, they love you. But then when that shit go to the sideways, you wasn't shit. You never wasn't shit. That shit you did, it was just a show. You didn't really mean it. You was on some bullshit when you did it. You know, it's like the old blues song when BB King said, "I bought you a penthouse." You said, "Thanks for the shack." I bought you a Ford, and you said, "I want a Cadillac." You see what I'm saying? In other words, you're never satisfied. No matter what you do, that person is, and they will grow to resent all of the sacrifices you made for them. They will grow to resent all the times you have extended yourself for them because they take that shit for granted. And I think in this instance, when this shit blows up, if it blows back in her face, black women are still gonna turn around and say he ain't shit.
First
He
of
did
all,
it with
you
a
know,
dark motivation. They're gonna turn around and say, "Well, he was abusive." It's gonna be something. He was abusive. He was dirty. He married her because he was just trying to get back at his grandmother and his mother and his daddy. He was just using her. Now he the greatest thing since chocolate cake. He's the greatest thing since sliced chocolate cake. But when that shit blows up, he's gonna have the status of another nigga. So I'm glad he's going to experience what it feels like to be blamed just like the rest of us niggas. So to Prince Harry, welcome to the family, nigga.
and then she'll be a black woman at that time, and then there'll be a whole bunch of trauma bonding. But Devin brought up a good point. Chris Jenner, the grand dame herself, she has a single daughter. She has one daughter that doesn't have any kids. Uh, the baby girl, what's her name? Kendall. Not is it Kendall? The
I don't
model.
know who that is. I don't keep up
Uh,
with them. I couldn't
yeah, well,
tell you.
she has a daughter that's on the market, so Megan better watch out. LAR says, wasn't Harry already spotted with an ex in England? Probably so, because Megan kept herself in Canada. They've been separated most of after she had that baby. They were separated a lot. See, they kept that out of the news a lot, but they were separated. She was in Canada a lot, so ain't no telling. We don't really know his personality like that. We know Williams, which is reserved, traditional, all about, upholding traditional values and the family monarchy and that things like that because he's going to be the next sitting king. But Harry has always been kind of rebellious and fun loving and having parties and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to Los Angeles because that's the different.
So he would be, if he were American, he would be like the son of a rich corporate executive or a rich real estate investor or real estate broker
No,
or an investment banker. He would be
uh-uh.
the rebellious son. Is
Of
that what you're
old
saying?
money. He would
Of
be a
old money?
rebellious of old money, sort of like uh he would be the son of like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump comes from old money, but he would be considered new money. I would say something like a Vanderbilt. Like she married a Rockefeller and he was rebellious because they had a couple of rebellious Rockefeller kids mixed up in there. So yeah, she married something like that. Fellas and ladies, let me put this in lay terms so y'all understand it. Because when we talking about royalty, it's kind of hard for us to kind of put ourselves in their shoes. So let me make it plain, because this is how I made it plain to my man. I said, look, this is like me coming to you and saying, "Do you love me?" And you go, "Yeah, baby, I love you." And I said, "Do you really love me?" And you say, "Yeah, I really love you, Nicole." And then you say, "Well, yeah, I love you. I'm gonna marry you, right?" And I say, "Well, okay, well, if we get married, then you can't go back to your home state and live with your parents. I don't want to live in the same state as your parents. Okay, I don't want to live in the same state as your immediate family." I want to move to Georgia. And you go, okay, okay, Nicole, I love you. I understand. You say, I don't want, I say, I don't want to live in your home state because I don't feel safe. I'm not around my friends and my people and my business. And then you say, yeah, Nicole, I love you. I understand. I totally understand. Let's move to Georgia. So now we move to Georgia. And then I say, baby, how much you love me? And you go, I love you, Nicole. And I go, how much you really love me? I really love you, Nicole. Then I say, well, Georgia's cool, but I really want to go back to my home state. That's where I really want to be because Georgia's cool, but it's just not my home state. Like, I don't feel completely safe in my home state. And no, I don't want to live in your home state because, that's your family. And, I don't feel comfortable. They're saying bad things about me. I just don't feel comfortable. And so I don't want to live in Georgia either. So I want to go back to my home state where I'm safe and I feel secure. And if you love me, you'll let us do that. So, fellas, would you be down for that? That means you can't live with your parents who are elderly, who are growing older, who may need you at a moment's notice. No, no, we can't live there. And we can't live in Georgia where I'm from because I just don't want to live there anymore. I want to live in my home state where I feel comfortable and I feel safe. It's me. It's all about me. Fellas, are you down with that, ladies? Is that fair? Do you think I'm being fair to my man if I say that? Fellas, do you think I'm fair if I say that to my man? Think about that. What do you think, Maceo?
Hell no, you ain't being fair. Hell no. Hell no, that ain't fair. I'm like, if somebody if somebody says that to you, that's not a relationship. That's not a relationship in any sense of the word. That's an ultimatum. What you're doing now is manipulation. If you say that to a dude, that you've gone past, you basically don't have any consideration for him. You don't have any consideration to, you don't even have any consideration for the relationship. You don't have any consideration for his feelings. Yes, that's right. Miss V said it's selfish on many levels. So when you start out, that's sort of like the door test. There was a movie called The Bronx Tale. There was a movie called A Bronx Tale that was starring Chaz Palmieri or Palminteri, one of them, and Brancato, Leo Brancato, I think that was his name was. And Sonny lays out this thing about, you get in, you unlock the door for the girl. If she doesn't reach over and open that door for you, you broom her. And so what he was saying is if that woman doesn't show any consideration for you when you're showing her courtesy, she's a selfish son of a bitch or daughter of a bitch, I guess, in this instance. So something like that, something like what you're proposing, that's the selfishness that he was talking about in that scenario. No, you would not be being fair. You would be being very selfish and self-centered. And I will argue that if you took that position, that relationship and that marriage wouldn't last very long, because at some point, if he has any type of aggression about him, if he has any type of balls, if he has any type of backbone or spine, when he clashes with you, it's going to be a problem. When he clashes with you, because most people think like this: if they can get something like this off, they're not going to stop at that. They're not going to stop. Okay, well, I got my way here. Well, let me see if I can get my way here. So now it becomes, well, I think I should be able to keep getting my way. I think I should be able to keep getting over. I think I should be able to keep doing this over and over and over and over again. And that's the ruin of any relationship, be it even a short-term casual sex relationship. Nobody wants to be around a selfish person, even if they're having sex with that person. You don't want to be around them in a casual relationship. You don't want to be around, you definitely don't want to be with somebody like that in a long-term relationship. So no, in answer to your question, no, it's not fair. No, it's not right. And if that guy marries you, I would be totally surprised. If he gives in to something like that, I wouldn't put stock in your marriage lasting that long. I
I
just
tell
wouldn't put any
William,
stock in that.
I tell women, when you're feminine and you asking to secure the bag, and he says, okay, here's the bag, and part of the bag is, for the people who don't listen to me, the bag is not just money. By the way, the bag is your protection, your time, your love, your support, your lending ear, your muscles, sex, taking care of me when I'm sick, me taking care of you. It's the bond we have. That's the bag. So if he says, okay, I'm gonna bring you the bag, but part of me providing for you, that bag is in this state, or that bag is here, is doing what I'm doing, and you say no, well, or you pretend you're cool with it, and then you get with him and you change up, which is what a lot of women do. I think in this case, this is what Megan did, but we don't know. We're just speculating here. But you handicap his ability to give you the bag, and she's severely handicapped, this guy. And so what I tell women is that if he's doing something that is giving you the bag, you empower him and you nurture him to do greater things than what he's doing. You don't handicap your man, because in essence you're not a helpmeet. You're not helping him, you're actually handicapping him, and you're not really making his life better. He's not doing better by having you in his life. As feminine women, we are an asset to a man, not a liability. And I think she's become a liability, but I don't think he's realized it yet. And that's the scary part for him.
Well, again, like I said, I agree with Candace Owens. I agree with Candace Owens, and again, it's not many times that I agree with Candace Owens, but this is one of the times I agree with Candace Owens. I think this was a plan. I think what this was a scheme designed to help her become an A-lister in Hollywood. And if you're talking about scheming on Hollywood, you're talking about the most manipulative, the most diabolical, the most ruthless machine in American society. You're not going to out scheme those people. It takes a very slick person to out, and I don't think she qualifies for that title. I don't. I think that they're going to get the last laugh. I think that she's exposed this guy and his lineage and his country to potential harm, to danger, to political danger, to economic danger, to international diplomatic danger. This is a international diplomatic nightmare that is happening here, and it just wasn't worth this. Not to mention the security of her husband and her child. This was unnecessary. This was totally unnecessary, and it's too damn much. It's too damn much just for her to see her name uh, in the bright lights, just for her to get. And I don't even think she's gonna get a star for this shit. Just to see her name on the marquee, this was too much. And it's only so much you can put on her though, because you also have to put this back on him. Where is his? What's wrong with
He
him?
was a mark. He was a
Yeah,
mark.
he was the what? Where's his spine? Where are his balls? Where is his where is his testicular fortitude? Where is his spine? Why didn't he put his foot down? Why didn't he say something? Why didn't he say, "Well, I don't think that's a good idea. We're already in Canada. We need to chill out here." Or look, this is my lineage, this is my family, or whatever. Why can't we go back here? Why can't we do this? And I know what it is. It's emotional blackmail. I get it. It's emotional blackmail. It's manipulation. It's emotional blackmail and manipulation, which a lot of women are good for doing. They're good for manipulating niggas into doing shit they don't want to do because you want to make your wife happy. I've seen it done time and time again. But in this instance, she's put her family, she's put her husband and her child, their child. She's put him and her child, their child, in danger by this move. And she's put in danger the crown. And people will say, well, they don't have any political power. That's ceremonial. Ceremonial titles still hold a degree of influence and status in societies that are constitutional. Places where they've relegated them on a historical note, the same thing happened to show you the importance of monarchy. The Japanese allowed themselves to be bombed back into the Stone Age just because they didn't want to give up their emperor. They did not want to lose their emperor because he was a sacred symbol to them. And they said in it was a documentary that I watched called The Untold History of the United States, which is a very good documentary. It's a 12-volume documentary by Dr. Peter Kuznick and Oliver Stone. And they said in that movie that the emperor to them was like God, or was like Jesus Christ to us. Killing him is like killing Jesus Christ. That's why they wouldn't surrender to the Russians, because they knew that the Russians knocked off their monarchy. The Russians executed the Tsar. So that told them very easily that the Russians didn't give a shit about monarchy. You see, so their thing was is they still wanted that, even if the title was titular, they didn't care. Even if the title was ceremonial, they did not care. They just wanted to keep the emperor in place. Same situation here. These people respect the crown. They respect the queen. They respect the prince. They respect the royal family. Just because they don't have any extensive political power per se does not mean that these people don't have influence inside of their societies, and it doesn't mean that they don't have any diplomatic stroke internationally. This guy is not a pauper. He's not Prince Akeem from the country of Zamunda. This is
Maceo,
somebody that's real. This is not anything like that. This guy still has some type of stroke. So this is an important thing by this man denouncing his crown and renouncing his throne and moving to a country where nobody really respects his title. That's a serious thing. That's a serious threat.
Amara Bay says maybe they're both running from the royal family. What if they both don't want to be in the royal family anymore? That's a good point. And into that, um, we'll find out. We'll find out. And Archie will have to pay the price if they made a mistake. Archie, they have basically decided for Archie that he will not be a part of that. So
Maybe they're running from the royal family. Okay, what could he be running for? Are they going to kill him? If the royal family is not going to kill him, that would make no sense for them to be running. That would make no, if they're not under the threat of a murder plot, if they're not under threat of assassination, it would make no sense for them to be running.
and that actually proves our point here that maybe he is beta, maybe he wants to party. If that's the case, and he said, "Oh, let's just settle in LA and you go get your movie career and we'll just live and just as regular people in LA." That just proves the point that he doesn't want to give her the major bag. He had never intended to give her the major bag to stay there. He wanted to be an average white boy in California. So, that just proves our point that, she's running the show. That's that's where she'll have more control is in LA
Well,
and not
definitely, she'll be
in.
back on. Not in the UK. She'll be back on her own home turf. And I just feel like for any man to acquiesce to that, you know what that's like to me. You know what that's like. That's like a bum nigga moving in with his girlfriend.
Yes, if her comment is true, maybe they're running, maybe they don't want to be royal anymore. What you just said is absolutely true. That's like a cute hobo moving in with the woman with the bag. So now she
Yeah.
becomes the bag. So now Megan got to go to work.
Well, that's what she want to do, and that's the
That's
feminist
what she
idea.
wants to do. There
That's
you
what she want to
go.
do. She want to
Thank you
get
for
back on
proving
the
our
block.
point, Amarah. Thank you for proving our point.
She, she want to get back on the block. You see what I'm saying? So that shit doesn't make any sense. Again, that's like a nigga. That's like a dude going to move in, and I despise that shit. You got a lot of niggas that want to move in with their woman. You don't move in with your woman without putting your name on the lease. You don't move in with your woman without paying the lease. You don't do that. That's the shit you just don't
Unless
do.
he's under the influence of PUSSY. Lucci says, as royals, you are still required for appearances, so they could be running from that obligation. Their obligations are done as of March 31st, ma'am.
Well, here's my thing. Listen to what I mean. We just say anything, whether it makes sense or not. We just say anything. As royals, you are still required for appearances, so they could be running from. That don't even make sense. He's born into that obligation to make appearances. He's going to spend the money that comes from. He enjoys the benefits that comes from
That's
being
his
a member of the
job.
royal family.
That's his
That's
job.
incumbent upon him. He can't do anything about that. And he hasn't ran from appearances by coming to the United States. If anything, the paparazzi is going to, if any lesson that he should have learned from his mother is that he's not safe because he goes into a foreign country. He's not safe because he runs. Running is what got his mama killed.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's how his mama died. His mama died running. You get that? He's not safe from appearances just because he's Prince Harry. There's no place he can go on this planet where somebody's not going to recognize him. So he's going to make an appearance whether he wants to or not. It
Timothy made a
doesn't
good point.
matter.
Timothy made a good point. Competent men do not run from obligations. So you're actually proving our point with these comments about, well, maybe they just don't want to be royal. Competent men do not run from obligations. I mean, look at Prince Charles. He did whatever he had to do, but he eventually ended up with the woman he wanted. So he got his way, but he still maintained his duty as Prince Charles. You don't break and run from obligations. Stop letting this guy off the hook. He has cut his bag in half. She's not getting a bag. She's not getting a bag. She had the bag and she cut it loose. My show is almost about to start, Maceo.
Well, with that being said, like I said, I've said what I've had to say, and this shit doesn't make any sense to me. And again, this is too much. This is too much. This is what happens when women want too damn much. It's too much. I blame black feminism. I blame white guilt. I blame white liberalism. It's a lot of people I blame. It's too many to come to mind right now. Anyway, I'm done with this shit. I'm done talking. Mr. Cole, let them know where they can find you so I can get out of here.
I just want to make this one last point this out. My 45th Goddess Evolution 2020, she had the bag however she wants her life. That's another feminist point. You may not realize it's a feminist talking point, however she wants her life. You understand what you're saying? That however she wants her life. That's a very selfish comment. What about her husband? What about her child? What about her future children? What about all the women that looked up to her? What about all the black women like yourself who put her on a pedestal and said how she represents us so well? She's affecting so many people, but it's all about her life. That's a feminist ideology, but I digress. Y'all putting
She
me in my
gave up
own.
her life when she decided to get married. It ain't her goddamn life no more.
Uh oh.
You're done with that shit.
Joseph said he might as well take her last name. Look, y'all get me in my ism. Y'all go over to Inner Beauty TV by Nicole Michelle. I will be going live at 2. I'm going to grab me something to drink and get ready to go live. We're talking about feminine flirting. Even though y'all are in the house, y'all can flirt with your man, flirt with your quarantine boo, practice your flirting moves. We're going to talk about that in about 10 minutes. So meet me over there. Thank you, Maceo. As a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be with you and chop it up with you because you always hit these topics from different points of view, and I like that. So thank you for having me once again. Thanks for being cordial and hospitable to the ladies in the audience because not everybody is hospitable to the ladies. So thank you again for having us, and I will see you all at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Well, we certainly thank Miss Nicole Michelle for coming on through and showering us with that ism and from her perspective. But again, this is too damn much. They doing too much. There's too much shit going on here, and I'm about to close out. I put up a new podcast in Patreon where I'm discussing the present niggardry that is the news of the moment in Black YouTube. And so go over there. You can only hear that if you're a patron of mine. Uh, it's some niggardry, to be simple, and I'm trying to cut down on the degree of niggardry that I'm giving. I'm attempting to cut down on that. It is what it is. Naima Buckner, my wonderful mod, one of the best mods. She's always been on my squad, on my team. She's always supported me. Thank you. She's giving my link here to my Patreon if you guys want to go check that out. Until next time, I am up out of here. You guys be good. Stay up. Stay away from the sea virus, 6 feet away, 6 inches, and all of that good shit. Anyway, I'm out of here. Later.